Hello everyone, welcome to YouTube channel, and in today's video we will create a CI/CD pipeline using GitHub, Jenkins, Ansible and Docker. So in today's video we will push the code to the GitHub, and from which we will pull through the Jenkins using the webhooks. So basically what webhooks do is whenever an event is triggered on the GitHub, it will trigger another event on the Jenkins, and which will pull the code from the GitHub, and then we will execute a Ansible playbook using which we will deploy the containers to our remote server. So this is gonna be the agenda of today's video, and without wasting any time, let's just start the video. So first thing we have to do is we have to download some code from websites like free CSS. As you can see, there are so many templates available here of HTML, CSS, but if you have any other application like PHP or React.js, then you can also use it the same way. But you will have to modify the Docker file. So let's just download this template, and after downloading the template, just extract it anywhere, just like I have extracted the template here. And after extracting it, just go to your GitHub and then create a repository. Let me just show you how you can do that. So just open your profile, and from here go to the repositories and then create a new repository. Give it any name that you want and description, but it's optional, so you can just leave it blank, and then click on create repository. And after creating the repository, you can just click on upload an existing file, so you won't have to run the commands, or you can also run the commands, but this is the fastest option available. So just drag and then drop the files, and it will just upload the files. So I'm just gonna skip it for now because I already have created a repository which is here. Let me just open the repository. So as you can see, we have everything ready here. So now we have to create virtual machines. You can create the virtual machines on any cloud platform, but for now I'm using just AWS. And here's the number of instances that you want to create. You can also create the same project on the local environment. If you have virtual machines like I do, you can just create the project and everything's gonna be same like this. So just give it any name. So let me just give it Jenkins, and there's gonna be 2 instances, so I will just rename the other one. And here you can select the operating system that you want to use. I'm gonna be using Ubuntu, so I will select it. And here's the architecture. You can just select any that you want, both will work fine, so it's not much of a big deal. And then here we have the instance type. Let me just select the T2 medium, which has 2 virtual cores and 4 GB of memory. And as you can see, this is the price per hour, and you can calculate it to get the estimation of the project. So, and after selecting the instance, we have to create a new key pair. Click on create key pair and give it any name. Let me give it Ansible, or I can give it any name that I want. So, and here we have 2 formats. So the first one is PEM and the other one is PPK. So if you're using Linux, then go for the PEM format, but if you're using Windows, then you might have to select the PPK format, which you can connect to using the PuTTY software. And then click on create key pair, and as you can see, the key is downloaded now. And after creating the key, just go down, and from here let's just leave it default for now because we will modify it later, and just allow the HTTP or HTTPS. It's totally up to you. And here's the storage that you want. So I will just select 10 gigabytes of storage, and then click on launch instance. and now it's creating the instances. As you can see, we have two instances now. Let's just rename one to Ansible or Docker. Let's just give it Docker, because in one instance we will run Ansible and Jenkins at the same time, but we can also run it on a different instance. And you can see the one instance is in running state. Just click on the ID and copy the public key, I mean the public IP, which we can use to connect to the remote server. So here's the IP, just click on the copy button and then go to your terminal, and from here go to the folder where the key is located, or you can also give it the path. It's totally up to you. So I'm already there, so I will just type ssh-i and then provide the name of the key, which is sensible.pem, and then the remote user and the IP, and then hit enter. Type yes, and here we got an error. The key does not have the key have open permissions. So basically, let me show you. As you can see, the permissions are read write for the current user, read write for others, and read write for the it's basically current user, group, and others. So we have to change the permissions. And to change the permissions, type chmod 600 and the name of the key. And now if we check the permissions, only the current user have the read writable permissions. And if we connect to the server now, we will be able to connect to it now. So as you can see, we have connected to the server successfully. Here is the host name, and I don't like this host name, so I'm gonna change it to something else. And to change the host name, let me just clear the screen. Type sudo system sudo hostname ctl set hyphen hostname and the new hostname, which is gonna be Jenkins. And to change the shell, just type /bin/bash. It will change the shell, and we will see the updated results. And after setting the host name, we will be installing Jenkins. And to install Jenkins, we need to install the Java. So let's just go to the jenkins.io website, and here just go to the documentation, and you can see installing Jenkins. And to install the latest version of Jenkins, select the operating system here. And to install the latest version of Jenkins, what we need Java 11. And to install that, just type sudo apt install. Let me just update it first. So it's updating now, and once it's updated, let's just install the Java 17, which is gonna be the runtime environment. So sudo apt install open jdk 17-jre. But if you type jdk here, then it will install the development kit. So we don't need that. We just need the runtime environment. And it's installing now. And while it's installing, let's just copy the commands from here. So what we have done till now, we have configured the Jenkins server. I mean, we're gonna install it now. And after that, we will install Ansible, and then we will install Docker on the remote server. Okay, so we have installed the OpenJDK, I mean the JRE. And now let's just install Jenkins. So while the Jenkins is installing, let's just SSH into the next server, which is gonna be the Docker server. And let's just go to the instances. Also, we have to allow the port for the Jenkins, and the port for Jenkins is 8080. And after opening the instance, just go to the security, and from here we have to add an inbound rule from the security groups. Click on the security groups, and here we have added inbound rules. Click there, and now we have to add another rule, which is going to be custom TCP, and the port is going to be 8080. And here we can select the CIDR, and this means that it will listen on all IP addresses. And now save the rules. And you can see the Jenkins is installed successfully. Let's just open it in the browser. Here's our Jenkins. So now we have to copy the secret key from here, and even if we check in the service, we will find the secret key here. Just copy it and paste it here, and then click on continue. Go with the install suggested plugins, and it will install most of the plugins out of the box, so we won't have to install them later. And here you can see it's installing the plugins. And while it's installing the plugins, let's just SSH into the next server, which is gonna be the Docker server. Same process again, SSH-I, name of the key, and the user, and then the IP address. So run the apt update command here. And while it's updating, let's just go to the select the operating system, and here are the steps to install the Docker. Just copy and paste the commands from here. So we got some error. What does it say? It says does not have a release file. Okay, so I installed it for Debian instead of Ubuntu. Here's the Ubuntu one. Let's just go there and run this command again. So the Docker is installing now, and while the Docker is installing, let's just install Ansible in our Jenkins server. To install the Ansible, just go to the Ansible documentation, and here you will find the steps to install Ansible. Just copy the commands, and paste them here. Okay, so the Ansible is installing now, and our Docker must be ready. So you can see we are getting some error, and what that error means that the current user is not authenticated to use any Docker commands, and for that we will have to add the current user to the Docker group. And to do that you have to type sudo user mode hyphen add group, and then the name of the group, and then the name of the user. And to refresh the group, type new grp docker, and if we type docker ps, you can see we are not getting any error. Also, let's just switch to the root user. We don't have any password, so just type sudo su and then type ssh hyphen keygen. Hit enter, and the key is generated now. And if we go to the root user, we will have a .ssh folder here. Just go to the .ssh, and then here we will add the authorized key. So the Ansible is also installed now, but to run any Docker command we will have to install some dependencies for the Docker, which we can install using pip install docker. Okay, so we don't have the pip installed. Let's just install the pip for now. Now type pip install docker, and it will install the dependencies for the Docker Ansible. I think it was okay, so that's what it was. It was pip install docker. So what we have to do now, we have to go to the etc Ansible, and in Ansible we will have a host file. So just open the host file, and there we can add our servers. So to add the server, just type, here's the group name. So the group name is gonna be docker server, or we can also write server, or we can give it any name that we want. And here the IP address will come of the server. So you can see that's the IP of the Docker server. Just type the IP address 3.89.65.151, and you can add as many IP addresses as you want. But if you have an IP pool, like for example from 151 to 200, then you can just type like this. So what this will do is it will execute the commands on the 51 IP to the 200 IP. So it's gonna be like 3.89.65.51, then 52, then 53, then 54, and so on. Okay, so just save it. Okay, so we don't have the permissions. Let's just modify it with the root user using the sudo, and here we should just write docker servers and the IP address, and then save it. So now we have added the docker files here. I mean not the docker file but the docker host. So what we're gonna do now, let's just go to the home and create a actually just switch to the Jenkins user. Okay, so switch to the root user and from there just switch to the Jenkins user. Or we can also set the password for the Jenkins user using passwd and then the username, but run it from the root user so you can change the password. Okay, so after that what we should do, in the Jenkins folder we should just create a directory called playbooks and go to that playbooks directory. Also, one more thing, we also have to generate a SSH key for the Jenkins user. So let's just generate the SSH key first. And we have the key generated now. Let's just go to the .ssh folder on Jenkins home, and there we have a public key. Let's just get it and then copy it and paste it into the authorized keys directory, the file. Just paste the key here, and after pasting the key, let's just set a password. I don't think we need to set a password for the root user. Just type systemctl reload sshd, and then let's just try connecting to the Docker server. As you can see, we have connected to the root to the Docker server without any password. Let me just exit it and then go back to the playbooks folder, and here we're gonna write the Ansible playbook. Let me just clear the screen and just type nano or any text editor that you like to use, and then the name of the playbook. So I will just give it deployment.yaml, and here we have to give it a name. So the name of the playbook, we will give it create build and deploy Docker container. Deploy Docker container. And then we have to define the hosts, which are Docker servers. And then we have another option, which is gather facts. Basically, this option collects the facts from the information from the remote server. So we are gonna set it to false because we don't need to. And then we have to define the remote user. The remote user is gonna be the root user. And then we have to define the tasks that we have to perform. So give the name of the task, which is first we have to copy the files from this server to the remote server. So copy the files to remote server, and then we have to define become. So it will become the root user, and then we have to define the module. So the module which is used to copy is called copy, and then we have to define the source and the destination. So to define the source, just type src. So the source is gonna be var lib Jenkins and workspace, and in the workspace write the name of the pipeline. So we haven't created a pipeline yet, but let's just give it a name, Ansible Jenkins pipeline. So we will copy the code from here, from this directory, to the destination. The destination is gonna be, let's just give it roots home. So here we're gonna create a folder. I don't think we have to. Let's just copy it directly into the, or we can just create a folder there. Let's just create a folder in the roots home. Let's just call it project. And here we're gonna copy the project. Okay. So after copying the files, what we will do, we will build an image, a Docker image. So give it a name, building Docker image. And then we're gonna use a module called Docker image. And here there will be the name of the Docker image that we will build. So let's just call it, what was the website called? It was called Miko. So let's give it Miko colon and then the tag. So let's just give it latest. After the name, we have to tell it that we have to build this image. And then we will define the path. The path is gonna be project. And then we have to type the state. So the state is gonna be present. So what we have to do now, and after building the image, we will create a container. And here it will be different. So instead of Docker image, we will be using Docker container. And after typing the module name, what we have to do, we have to give it a name. So the container name is gonna be Miko hyphen, let's just give it Miko container. And then we will define the image, which is gonna be Miko colon latest. And then the ports. So we will expose it on 8080. And then we have to define the state. So the state is gonna be started. Let's just save it. Okay, so save it and let's just test it. And to execute it, we have to type Ansible hyphen playbook and then the name of the playbook. Could not access this file. Why we cannot access it? Because it says, okay. We have to define the remote source. And then exit it. Let's just try it again. What does it say? It says source not found because this directory does not exist. So let's just create a pipeline so it will exist. Give it, let me just give it a name and the password. And then the email address. And then save it. Here's the URL. Also save it and click on start using Jenkins. So now we have to create a new pipeline. Let's just see the name. What was the name? It was Ansible Jenkins pipeline. Let's copy it and then give it the name here and select the type, which is going to be the freestyle. And then from here in the source code management, we have to select Git and then copy the URL and then paste it here. The branch is main, so I will just change it and let's just save it. Let's try building the pipeline now. Let's see what we get. Okay, so it's building now. And the status is success. So the pipeline is successful now. Let's just try running our playbook again. What error are we getting? It says var lib Jenkins workspace Ansible Jenkins pipeline. Go to the playbooks. Let's just modify it, and instead of using this command, let's just use shell instead. Just type shell and then the scp command, scp-r for recursion, then the var lib Jenkins workspace and then Ansible Jenkins pipeline. And then the destination, which is going to be root @3.89.65.151 colon project. It was project, or I think it was, yeah, it was project. Let's just remove this. Now save it and let's just try it again. So it's copying the files to the remote server now. And let's see if we got anything here. Right now we don't have anything here, so it's just gonna take some time. I think the playbook got stuck. Let's execute it again. Okay, so while the playbook is executing, let's just go to the Jenkins server and enable the webhooks. So we can trigger the pipeline without actually having to run it manually. And to enable the webhooks, just check the GitHub hook trigger for git scm polling. And then check it and then click on apply. And also copy the URL of the Jenkins. Then go to the GitHub and from there you will see the settings. Click there. Actually wait, we have to click there And from the settings, we have to click on webhooks. Click on add webhook. It will ask for authentication. So let me just authenticate it. Let me, okay, so let me just refresh it because I haven't got the notification. I still haven't got the notification. Let me try it one more time. That's weird. It's not giving me any notification. So let me try it again. Okay, so I just got the notification now. Let's just approve it. Okay, though, so here we are. And in the payload URL, we have to enter the Jenkins URL, which we copied from the Jenkins server. And there we have to click on, let me select individual events. And in the individual events, just select pull request and then save it. So now we will be able to trigger the pipeline without actually having to trigger it manually. So first, let's just build it manually and then we will execute it using the Jenkins, using the GitHub. So you can see we have executed it successfully. And now let's just modify something in the repository. Let's let's just modify this. And here just to give it any tag. And now the pipeline should be triggered. So we got some error. What's the error that we got? I think we need to give it more permissions. Let's just try it again by modifying the Docker file. Let's see if we have any issues here. It says the last delivery was not successful. Invalid HTTP response. Okay, so we have also allowed it from here, but it's still not triggering the pipeline. And let's see what we can do here. I think we haven't allowed the port. Okay, so the port 80 and 2020 and port 8080 is also okay. I see. We made a mistake. We have to modify this. Here we have to type GitHub hyphen webhook and then update it, and now it should trigger the pipeline. So you can see here it triggered the pipeline now, and it's in pending state, so it will be triggered within a few seconds. As you can see, it's successful. Also, our Ansible got stuck here. Let's just do one thing. Inside the project folder, let's run this command manually first, so we will know if anything is wrong. So the command is running successfully, but Ansible is having some issues. Let's execute the playbook again. That's weird because Ansible is not giving us any error or anything. It's just keep getting stuck at this point. Okay, so I think let's just add this copy step in the cicd pipeline instead. So instead of doing it like this, we should try running this instead, and let's see if you're getting any error in the other playbook files. So what does it say? It says source. Okay, so the source is missing. So we haven't defined the source here. Let's just define the source, which is gonna be build. Let's just save it, and now we should not get this error again. We are getting this error at building Docker image. What does it say? It says state is present, but all of the followings are missing. Let me just check if we have the Docker file there. That's the problem. We don't have the Docker file here in the project directory. So instead of being in the project directory, we have it in this directory. So let's just go to this folder and move all of the contents out of here. As you can see, here's our Docker file, and now let's just Run it again. We're still getting the same error. We also have the Docker file available. Let's just check the error. Okay, so according to them, it's supposed to be something like this. So the path is gonna be under the build. I see now. It should not make any sense, but that's how it is. So let's just, what did they say? The source and the build. Let's try it now. So everything is successful now. Let's just test if we have a container here. So as you can see, we have a container here and it's in running state. So before rerunning the container, what we have to do, we have to modify it and we have to add another step. So let's just copy this and add it here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna change the state of the container, which is let's just remove the ports. And also change the name of it. So this is gonna be stopping the container, then we will delete it. And change the state from started to stopped. Or we can also change it to the absent. But I think we will get some error because we will have to forcefully remove it. So let's just run it again. Okay, so now we have to add another step which will be absent. So we will stop the container and then we will remove it. So now the state is gonna be absent, and then we have to type here removing the container. So these are our steps. So first thing we will do is we will build the image, and then we will stop the container, then we will remove the container, and then we will start another container. Also, let's just copy the scp command that we ran recently. Here it is. Go to the Jenkins, click on configure, and here we have to add the build step, which will be execute shell. So here's the first shell. Let's just verify if it's working or not. Click on build now, and we got the success message here. Let's see where the files are. They should not be in this folder, so let's just remove everything from this folder. Now this folder is empty. Let's just go to the Jenkins again. So basically what this command is doing, it's copying the files from here to the remote server. Let's execute it again. As you can see, we got the files here. So everything is working fine till here. And let's just add another option here. So let's just see the path of the Ansible file, the playbook. Okay, so this is the path of the playbook. And then the name of the playbook, which is deployment. Let's just do the opposite. Save it and then run it again. Let's see if we get any error. Okay, so the status is successful now. Let's just try to access it on the browser. So as you can see, it's working fine till here. And let's modify the GitHub repository. Let me just change this. It should be in the index.html file, and here we can see okay, let me just click on edit, and from here let's modify there. So let's just change it to cicd pipeline and then commit the changes. Okay, so now if we refresh the page, the pipeline went successful, and but the changes are not applied here. Why the changes are not applied? Because let me just show you. So even if we curl it from here, we can see where was it? It was somewhere around in the start. Let's just grab it. Okay, so the changes are not affected, but if we check it in the index file, it must be applied here. So as you can see, we have the pipeline word in the index file. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna remove the image also and then rebuild it so it won't get conflict. Let's just, so the terminal got stuck. Okay, so it's working now. And here, let's just copy this step. And before building the image, let me just remove these files also. Also, we have to add this step after stopping and removing the container. So let's remove this step. Build the image, stop the container. Let's, we have an issue here. So we will also have to move this after removing the container. So we will be building the file after removing the container. State is gonna be absent. Let's just save it and execute the pipeline again. Okay, so we got a failure here and it says we will have to, okay, I see now. So we have to modify it and bring it down. So let's just copy it, then remove it from here because we cannot remove the image if the container is running. So we have to stop and remove the container and then we have to build the image. We modified it somewhere, but it's not taking any effect. I think it's because of the browser cache. Let's try it in the private window. Maybe it will show the updated results. Okay, so it's not taking any effect. And why is that? Because we stopped the container, we removed it, then we removed the image. And let's see if we got anything here. Okay, so everything worked successfully. We haven't got any error in these steps. So we stopped the container, we removed the container, we removed the Docker image, we built the Docker image again, and then we created the container again. So let's see what we got here. It says the image got built a minute ago. Let's just go into the container, docker exec-it, and then the username, which is root, and then /bin/bash. Now we are inside the container and okay, so we did not give it the container name. So what was the container name? It was Miko underscore container. Here's the container ID. Okay, so we got the word pipeline here, but the website is not updated. Let's just check where we have this thing. Let's modify something else from this. Let's just change the title, so we will know if it's taking the changes or not. Commit the changes. Wait for the CI/CD pipeline to finish. Let's refresh the page. As you can see, the title changed. So we will have to see where this thing is, then we can modify it. I think we changed that thing from somewhere else. Let's find if we have any pipeline word here. We don't have it here, so let's just change something else. Maybe let's just change our doctors to something else. Let's modify it from here. Okay, so here it is. Let's just commit the changes again. As you can see, the pipeline is executing now and it's also successful. Let's just refresh it. And here, yeah, you can see it's working exactly like it should. So everything is good now. And in the next video, what we will do, we will just add multiple containers here, so we can just select the branch and the container name and the other stuff while executing the pipeline. So thank you for watching the video. I hope you learned something new today. See you in another video. Take care and goodbye.